Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 13th episode of Experience Matters, where we bring industry experts and academia experts. And today we have one of those experts, Rishav Banerjee, with us. 99.83 percentile and IIM Ahmedabad, one of the most esteemed colleges. Every MBA aspirant more or less dreams about IIM Ahmedabad, and he has recently banked IIM Ahmedabad 99.83 percentile. Rishabh, you would be at the top of the world right now. I will hand over the baton to you straight away. Would like to know, how are you feeling right now? IIM Ahmedabad 99.83 percentile. Did you expect all of this? How is it going? How are you feeling right now?
It's a great feeling, to be honest, and also a humbling feeling, because after almost 2 years of efforts, I was able to get this college. So last year also I applied for the CAT. The results were not as expected. But this year I was able to get a good percentile, and 99.83 percentile. I'll give a very small database analysis. We had 288,000 CAT aspirants this year who attempted the exam. So actually 99 percentile means your rank is 2880. 0.1 percentile means 288 people. So 99.83 actually means roughly 490 to 500 people, right? So IIM Ahmedabad has 500 seats, 470 or 450 seats. So even after bagging a 99.83 percentile, you are not sure of converting Ahmedabad, because 60% of the weightage is on the AWT and PI during the interview stage. So that was again another battle to be fought. But fortunately now things have fallen in place, and yeah, it's definitely a very heartening feeling. And I thank everyone, from my family to friends and even my office colleagues, who were a part of this journey and helped a lot. Everyone played their part. So
Great, Rishabh. So let me tell you that Rishabh is also a 2020 mechanical engineering Jadavpur University pass out, post which he was working, and now CAT 99.83 percentile going to IIM Ahmedabad. Pretty great a journey. Rishabh, tell us about your journey. Tell us more about your CAT strategy. When did you start? What did you do? And what made you come through? And it has been an extended journey, I believe. And it has been a
yes.
preparation that has taken a lot of time, efforts. Tell us about that journey. Tell us about your strategies.
So CAT, as all the aspirants will be knowing, is mainly three sections: VRC, LRDI, and quants. As an engineer, we are more comfortable with quants than the other two sections, because of the way our academic curriculum has been throughout our career. So the thing is, I didn't have a very good reading speed or a very good storybook reading habit as well. So VRC was one section I had some problems, which I managed with the help of sectional mocks. I gave a lot of sectional mocks. I was a student at iQuanta. Okay, and iQuanta's course curriculum helped me a lot. So I gave the iQuanta mocks. I did their classes. They had a ABC batch. That was very helpful. Matlab, the way those courses were designed for a working professional, it's one of the best courses, I personally feel. That helped a lot. Apart from that, this year what was different was I was mostly done with the studies last year. So I didn't have to revise the concepts afresh. It was more like a more mock based approach and managing time, because only knowing the things won't be of any help if we can't manage each section within the 40 minutes sectional time in CAT. So CAT is actually a combination of both knowledge and time management. That's what I feel. And any aspirant who is attempting a serious go at it must ensure that they give enough mocks before the exam, so they are confident as to how they will actually approach the exam on the D-Day as well.
Great, Rishabh. I hear you saying that you gave a lot of mock papers. I hear you say that, your main focus
Yes.
strategy this year was more about practice rather than learning new
Yes.
concepts. So when you say
Yes. Yes.
practice, when you say materials or courses, when you say mocks, I would like to know a little bit of more details about it. What kind of materials did you follow? You mentioned iQuanta batch. What kind of materials or courses do you feel is fit for the
Yes.
students that are preparing afresh? Also, when should they start the preparation? Ideally, how much time should it take to bank IIM Ahmedabad? Like you said, that it is not easy, right? Even after getting 99.83, it still feels like
Yes. Yes.
things are not that easy or that suitable, right? So what do you think is that one strategy that people should follow? What kind of materials, courses, and mock papers should they do? How many number of mocks should they give? And when should they start, if I have to summarize?
Okay, so I'll answer the question in two parts. One is the cash strategy, and the other is about IIM Ahmedabad specifically. So, first, coming to the cash strategy, I think it's a very individual based approach. Someone might have less problem with time management and more with learning the concepts. He need to focus on learning the concepts first, followed by mocks. There is no specific number of mocks which, if you give, you have a better shot at the exam. Because I personally have given mocks where I have scored much lesser than what I have scored in CAT, and even mocks where I have scored much more than what I gave in CAT. One piece of advice I can give to every aspirant is that the CAT is becoming tougher every year, and you should know how much you need to score. For example, if you are targeting a 99 percentile, the exam since 2021 onwards has been out of a total of 198 marks approximately. So in 2021, you needed a 99 score to get 99 percentile, and it was the next year you needed approximately a score of 90 to get 99 percentile. This year people have got 99 percentile approximately at a score of 77 to 80. Okay, so you should know how much you need to score. For example, there are a total of 198 questions, 198 marks with 66 questions. But if you see that you have to actually end up somewhere between 80 to 90 for a good CAT percentile. Even my raw score was 96, so a 96 raw score fetched me 99.83 percentile. If you just break down, a raw score of 96 basically means that given that there are 3 marks for each question, actually I made 31 questions right. If I consider 100% accuracy, it's approximately 31 correct questions, and there are 66 questions in the CAT paper. It's not necessary you need to maximize the attempts. It's more important that your accuracy is very high. So, and section to section, the approaches may be different. If suppose I was weak in LRDI also to some extent, so I was very clear that I will do 2 sets correctly with 100% accuracy. That's what I did. So it should be much more of an individual based approach, and that comes only with giving mocks. Once you give mocks, once you analyze those mock papers, then only you can formulate the strategy based on your strengths and weaknesses. And also, one tip, don't leave any part of the syllabus. This year, a question in quants came from clocks and calendars, which never came in CAT in the last 5 to 6 years, if I am not wrong. So don't leave any part of the syllabus. You may never know, the parts you may practiced may have the hardest questions from, and those you left will have easy questions, and it will be advantage for the other candidates, because a 3 to 4 score difference can move your percentile drastically upwards or downwards. Then coming to the specifically the question of IIM Ahmedabad. So CAT, as aspirants may already be knowing, unlike JEE, is not a rank-based admission exam. The CAT percentile is only used for getting the calls, and that also is combined with your past profile. So there is a weightage on 10th, 12th, college, and all your academic acumen throughout your career and life. So even after you get the calls, make sure that you prepare for the interview really well, because not only 99.83 or 99.9 percentiles will not matter if your interview goes bad, because approximately 60% of the weightage is on the writing test and interview in IIM Ahmedabad, and it is almost a similar case in Bangalore and Calcutta and the other IIMs as well. So once you have done through the first part of the battle, you have aced the CAT and got the calls, make sure you utilize the time you get in between the CAT exam and the interview dates to prepare well, because the interview might judge you from anything. So my IIM Ahmedabad interview was 20 out of 30 minutes of that interview was politics of West Bengal. You may never know what comes up during the interview. Bangalore interview was more academic. In Calcutta, it was more work experience based. So that it's slightly unpredictable. So but for the aspirants, first it is important to formulate their CAT strategy, and the interview is actually the second part of the battle.
Great, great. So to summarize, what I hear you saying is, to each its own, the strategy might vary, and you specifically mentioned do not leave any portion, because what you think, and I keep on stressing on this point to every aspirant that speaks to me now and then, that what you think is your strength, might turn out to be your biggest weakness, because you develop an ego that I will have to solve it. And if the questions turn out to be tough there, then you face even more problems. Happens specifically with the DILR sets. I remember, developing that kind of an ego that मेरे को अगर data interpretation मेरा strength है, तो एक question data interpretation से आएगा ही, and I will have to solve that. Now, if suppose that is a very complex data interpretation set. Yes.
Yeah. So just sorry to stop you in between. So this year CAT in slot, at least the slot I gave, slot 1, didn't have a single DI set. So that's what I was saying. CAT is very unpredictable. You may never know what comes up. And so in my case, I had statistics in 11th, 12th, and I saw one set on mean median mode. So I was confident at least this set I'll be able to solve. So I was very clear with the LRDI strategy because last year in CAT I had only 60 percentile sectional score in LRDI. This year I improved that to 99.71. So LRDI is one section which is very important for candidates to ace, because remember that even if you get 100 percentile in CAT, but if you are not able to clear the sectional cutoff in even one section, you will not get the call from the B school you want. So it is very important that the preparation is balanced between all sections and also not skewed much in favor of one particular section. Like I am from a engineering background, and I have interacted with maths across my career. But if you consider the scaled score I got in the three sections, my scaled score was actually lowest in quants. It was highest in English, followed by LRDI and then quants. So you may never know what happens on the D day. And also VARC is the opening section of CAT. If the first 40 minutes go bad, you will mess up the other two sections in that psychological pressure game also.
Great insights, Rishabh. So coming straight away to the topic of interviews, right? You were talking about interviews. So I would like you to tell us more about IIM Ahmedabad interview in particular, because you have cracked that, and I am sure that you have cracked others as well. But IIM Ahmedabad is something that is the most sought after. So I want you to enlighten a bit on that interview. Also describe all the other interviews that you have had. What was the exact questions asked? What was the mahal like how many panelists were there, and a bit of that will help the students prepare ki mentally kya hota hai, because that is a very important part. It will, because CAT score will only help you qualify, as you said, but ultimately it is up to the interview and the wet, right? So what was the exact procedure like at IIM Ahmedabad and others?
So in Ahmedabad has a one very characteristic difference over all the other IIMs. That is, IIM Ahmedabad has an analytical writing test, while others have a written aptitude test. So the basic difference is, in written aptitude test, they'll give you a topic. For example, in Bangalore interview, they gave me that India is having a surge of heart issue problems. What may be the remedies for the same? That's a kind of written aptitude test topic. You need to know something about it so that you can write. But when it comes to IIM Ahmedabad, they have an analytical writing test. They give you a small written paragraph, and you have to analyze. There is an argument. Mostly it's an argumentative approach where there is an argument given. You have to either refute it or support it. Okay. And coming specifically to the interview, IIM Ahmedabad interview was, it was my first of the Blackie calls as well. So it was the first big interview I was giving in this season. And so personally, what happened was, we were given an argument where one biologist had done some research on bumblebees and concluded that the cognitive abilities of animals is better than humans. So I refuted that argument, and my interview started with, oh, a mechanical engineer will now refute the argument of a biologist and we have to accept that. What nonsense is this? That's how exactly the interview started when I entered the room. So it's like a pressure building situation, and they want to check how you behave under pressure. So I remember the reply I gave was, sir, thank you for your criticism on my writing, but I would like to humbly defend myself by saying, and then followed by the points I mentioned. So I think it's an attitude which they want to check. And then they will often try to spark you up with some comments, and they check that how you behave under those situations. So they told me that, you are a Bengali from Calcutta, and people in Calcutta sometimes think the sun rises and sets over there. You guys don't care about anything else. So it was basically an attitude they were trying to check whether I get sparked up by that and I may behave badly or something. So it's very important to know that they are actually checking your attitude and personality more than your academic acumen. So in the interview, because they consider it a very integral part of the B school ambience, that you should be a very open-minded person. So those are some tips. Other things is, be very well aware of the place you come from, the geography, politics, at least a little bit of history of that place, because these are very common interview questions, and basic GK and current affairs also to some extent. Academics, even if you are at 2 to 3 years of work experience, you should revise and brush up a bit of your concepts. With irrespective of your academic backgrounds. I was asked questions from IC engines, thermodynamics, even Navier-Stokes equation in my IIM Ahmedabad interview. And they will not expect you to write the Navier-Stokes equation, but they will definitely expect you to know that this equation is basically coming from the fact that they're basically coming from Newton's second law of motion. So this much you should know. The basic concepts should be clear. That's what they are expecting. Honestly, an IIM professor is least interested if you are able to write that equation or not. But it shows whether you have followed your past academic classes well and you at least remember the basics of it. And apart from that, it is one thing I'll say. Whenever, if you get whatever calls you get, they have a form which you have to fill up post the CAT exam. Whatever you write in that form is of great importance because the interview revolves around that. The interviewer has never interacted with you in past, so that form is the only source of information the interviewer has about you. So in all my forms in extracurriculars, I wrote about my interest in politics, my interest in election analysis, that I love to travel, that I love cooking. So extracurricular based questions will come in each and every interview, and my questions were more or less centered around this, mostly politics, because politics happens to be a very good area of interest for many IIM professors. I don't know the reason or anything, but if you have a stronghold in this particular region, please try to use it in the interview because it can be of help, because knowing politics means you keep up with current affairs and everything as well, and it's important for business also. So that is a good, very important tip. If you are a fresher, be sure to be very thorough with all your academic courses because they have nothing more to ask you except the academics. You don't have a work experience which generally covers almost 20% of the interview of a working professional candidate. So that is of extreme importance. And coming to the other interviews, so in my Bangalore interview was more on, they tried to check my knowledge on statistics because I also applied for the business analytics course over there. In case you have had interaction with statistics in 11th and 12th, it's good if you know the distributions and the basic things of descriptive stats. Apart from that, the Calcutta interview was more on work experience. In Lucknow interview was a very much of a pressure interview for me. When I was able to answer the questions, they were telling me, why are you then going for MBA? You have such good academic knowledge, go for PhD. When I was not able to answer the questions, they are telling, how will we take such a student in our class? So they are just trying to check how you behave. And in fact, that was the only interview where I succumbed a bit to pressure. And they told me that one character of Mahabharata that represents your personality. Okay, so I was trying to, and they were very clear, don't say Arjun or Krishna, that's very common. So I was actually trying to say Yudhishthir by saying that the importance of truth. Okay, but under pressure I was mentioning the traits of Yudhishthir, but I mentioned Yudhishthir as Duryodhan. So they told him, that was under pressure, so I mistakenly told Duryodhan. So they were like, what should we consider? Since you said you always tell the truth, so you are Duryodhan, or else you are Duryodhan. So you are Duryodhan. Why will I want a Duryodhan in my class? So those things happen. And indoor interview, if in case anyone has an indoor call, I personally gave the indoor interview. Be very sure to be thorough with your academics, especially mathematics. If you are an engineering candidate, if you have a BSc candidate, be sure to go through the academics very well, because I remember I have been working for almost 3.5 years now, but my indoor interview started with draw the graph of e to the power x and 2 to the power x and find the area of the bounded region of the curve. So those are 12 level concepts if you actually go by things. So, but it's important to brush those concepts up. Other interviews, so in some interviews they have a extempore. So like in my indoor interview, the extempore was in the importance of manufacturing sector in Indian economy. In my Shillong interview, the extempore was taking the extra mile. So there, it may be abstract or it may be a topic based as well. Taking the extra mile, you can say anything. But manufacturing sector, you need to have some idea. Only then you will be able to speak some sense. So it's very important and to be up with current affairs and everything after CAT, because during the exam you will be more into the subjects. It may not be possible for you to keep up with everything going around, and it's part of the entire process as well. So yeah, that's pretty much sums up the interview experience.
But very enlightening, and I was thoroughly enjoying when you were saying, particularly the Lucknow thing. I have personally faced it in
Yeah.
some of my interviews, so I can totally correlate how they try to create a pressure either ways. But
Yeah.
always a good thing to experience and share your experience, hence people will be a little bit more prepared maybe. When we talk about general knowledge, I heard you mentioning multiple times the general awareness part, or in your
Yeah.
defense you have to know a lot about what is happening. Then only you will be able to, because most of your interviews rotate around that, right? They grill
Yes.
you on your knowledge. They try to know your personality, and that can only come when you have an opinion about things, and for that you need to have a
Yes. Yes.
knowledge about things. So my question to you
Yes.
would be like, do you feel, because many people have been asking that, should they start taking courses, should they start reading newspapers, or should they develop their awareness about what is happening in and around the country before CAT, or should they do it in the period after CAT to interview? I generally have an advice for them ki reading is always good, irrespective of whether you are giving
Yes.
CAT or not giving CAT. You should be aware of what is happening, but a
Yes.
focused approach, right? Many people think that they should approach, I should thoroughly read about current affairs, what is happening internationally, what is happening nationally. I should read every bit of it. So should they practice that before CAT itself, like 2 to 3 months before CAT, or should it be in the period after the CAT exam to the interview? What is your personal suggestion about reading this awareness things, and also about courses, right? That will also help you. Suppose a fresher is going, I would ask you about this as well. Suppose a fresher is going, they don't have anything to say, but if they do some certification courses on analytics, or say Power BI,
Yeah.
descriptive or predictive analytics, they can defend themselves, or they can say something about that. So is it a
Yeah.
good thing to develop your profile parallelly or before CAT, or is it something that you should focus after CAT, after only giving the CAT examination properly?
Hi. I'm audible, right?
Yes, you are, Rishabh, you are audible.
Yes. Yes. So, firstly, coming to the point of, see, 2, 3, you mentioned 2, 3 months before the CAT exam, whether they should take up those courses. Personally, I'll say no. Because 2, 3 months before the CAT exam, your sole and whole focus will be on the should be on the CAT exam. Because see, you have also been a CAT exam taker, if I'm not wrong, and you know this very well, that this is an exam of 99 percentile. That's the percentile most talked about. So basically, it's an exam where 1 out of 100 people will have a chance. I'm not telling they will get the college they want, will at least have a chance, because the CAT exam is basically a screening exam for the interview. The interview is again a different process. So 2, 3 months before the CAT, my personal suggestion is focus on the mocks, focus on your preparation, focus on your weak areas, and ace the exam. Yeah, coming to reading habit, follow reading the newspaper is a very good habit, because I'll tell you, if you even consider the VARC section, there are 4 reading comprehensions. Generally, one of them is from science and technology. One of them may be from geopolitics or economics or something like that. One may be from history, and one may be any general thing like sociology, psychology. These kinds of things come up. So if you develop a good reading habit, it can actually help you in the VARC section as well, actually. So, and you are also aware of the news. After that, I think generally you start getting the interview calls in the first week of January itself. And some colleges, yeah, delay it to February and all, but mostly by the first week of January you get your calls. So you have some time for the interview. Some interviews, for example, my Lucknow interview was on the 4th of April, so there's a lot of time. But in some cases, but you will still get 3 to 4 weeks minimum for the interview. So I don't think it is pertinent that for a candidate who is a fresher and having his first attempt at CAT to first go with the general knowledge and everything, and then the CAT exam parallelly. That's my personal suggestion. Uh, that focus on the CAT first, because if you are not able to ace the CAT examination, all these preparations will anyway go in waste. So it's better first ace the CAT, and then the reading habit is good, the newspapers and everything, but you may not need to take specialized courses before the CAT exam. Once you know you have aced the exam, you know the interview calls you have, then you better prepare for that. That is a better approach. That's what I personally feel. And then in the interviews, you always have the capacity to drive your interview based on whatever you have written in your CV. So suppose if you are an enthusiast in tech, if you are an enthusiast in business news, or maybe even the stock markets, you can put that in your extracurriculars, and make sure the current affair topics that come to you are also from those areas. For example, if you are a stock market enthusiast, you may not be knowing who is the chief minister of Himachal Pradesh, but you will be knowing the news of BSE and NSE for the last month maybe. So you can drive the interaction and discussion towards that. I think that is the better strategy, at least as per my personal opinion, because as I said in the very beginning, cat strategy is very individualistic. It's more catered to where that individual is stronger and that individual is weaker.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. I do agree to every bit of it. And this drives me to my next question, right? You focused a lot on the magic number, 99 percentile. That is what your
Yeah.
focus should be. So I have seen people convert 95 to 98, 98.5 as well. But that extra 1 percentile, it makes a hell lot of difference in what you do and what you don't, right?
Yes.
बट दैट
Yes.
एक्स्ट्रा 1 परसेंटाइल की इतना तो कर दिया, इसके बाद वो एक्स्ट्रा 1 परसेंटाइल टेक्स अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स, and there are a lot of things that is going through your mind whether or not you will be able to achieve it or not. So for those people, I want you to enlighten them on, because you have been giving cat attempts multiple times, right? You have given it previous year
Yes.
as well. So what is that one X factor that takes you from the 95 to 98 bracket to 99.5 percentile plus? What is that extra nudge that you need to do? I want you to take your time to answer that.
So, firstly, you need to know that at what score you get what percentile. As I was telling, that the cat is getting tougher every year. So, for example, this year a candidate at a score of 80 got 99 percentile. And so I'll tell you why I'm telling the score of 80. Actually, the scaled score was 76 or 77. But a candidate in slot 3 had his score scaled down, and someone in slot 1 had his score scaled up. So you never know your score will be scaled down or not. Take that 3, 4, 5 marks extra with you, and you know that at this score I'll get a 99 percentile. Target that score. Now I'll give 2, 3 scenarios. For example, you want to score 90 in cat. Okay, 90 scaled. Suppose you think that 90 is a safe score for getting 99.23 plus percentile, and you want to attempt that. 90 can be obtained in various ways. So 90 can be obtained by doing 30 questions at 100% accuracy, given that it's plus 3 marks for every question. Or 90 can also be obtained by, say, attempting 40 questions and getting 32 right and 8 to 7 wrong. So you have to improve your accuracy. And once you improve your accuracy, you can understand that which strategy suits you better. And that is very important. For example, if you are going to the exam and you know you have given a very good VARC, in VARC again is a little subjective. You may or may not be sure whether the answers you did were correct. But if you have been a long time you are in the preparation journey for a long time, once you give the LRDI section and move to the quant section, in LRDI, if you are if you have done 2 sets and you are confident that I'll get these 2 sets correct, you know you will get a score of 30 for the 2 sets you have done, and that will fetch you a 99.5 plus percentile for sure in LRDI. Okay, so now you have 30 marks in LRDI, and during the exam you also know that in VARC you will get something around 30 to 35. Just taking an example, say 30 plus 30 60. So now you need 30 marks more in quants. Okay, so if suppose you are entering the quant section that will have 22 questions. Okay, you need not attempt the 22 questions, right? You can do the 10 questions correctly and be sure that you will get this. Suppose you take some risk and those questions go wrong, that will actually hamper your scores, your score and percentile itself. So that exam strategy is very important, to know how much score is actually needed for how much percentile. And then you approach your mocks also based on that in the mocks also you try to score in those range, so that in the final exam also your brain is more aligned. And one specific thing I like to tell candidates is, you will approximately get your cat admit card by October, if I am not wrong. So for the last 2 months, make sure, because cat is in the last week, last Sunday of November, so you get almost 2 months in between the admit card and the exam. Suppose you are in slot 1, okay, so your examination will be in the morning 8:30. Make sure you give mocks at that time, because suppose you work very late till night, you wake up at 11 a.m. and maybe that suits your schedule, but your brain will also have a habit of working best in those times, and then on the D-day you go at 8:30 in the morning, your brain may not light up at that time. And so once you get your slot, make sure you give the mocks at that particular time. If you have the possibility, you may be in a job, you may not be able to do that, but at least on the weekends you have to take time out to give the mocks on the exact time of the exam so that you are complete, don't leave anything behind, and you are absolutely aligned with what you will be doing on the D-Day. I used to stay with my friend at a flat. So I have even given some mocks by telling him कि तू थोड़ा जोर से म्यूजिक बजा दे तेरे रूम में, because you never know, maybe on the day of the CAT examination your center will be in one place where outside people will be making noises, and you can't complain, right? CAT will not you can complain, CAT will not take anything into consideration even if you do complaints like that. These are worst case scenarios, but be prepared for that, because mocks is the only way you can do that. And apart from that, uh, that's pretty much how the difference is. So knowing how much to score to get the percentile is important. And suppose you are giving mocks consistently, you see your accuracy is 80%, so that means you need to be in that level where 20% of the questions may be wrong in the exam day as well, and attempt some more questions. If your accuracy is 90%, you may take that leap of faith by leaving 2 to 3 risky questions. If your VARC is a very strong section, and the highest number of questions are in VARC. Okay, suppose you have attempted all the 4 RCs and you know that at least out of those 16 questions, 14 will be correct. So you have already scored 40 only through the RC questions and through the VA. I know many people who score 50 plus scaled score in VARC. My score was personally 38, but then there are many people who are very good in VARC. So you basically have to score another 50 marks from the rest of the paper. So you are anyway, you have no need to take risk in quants or LRDI, right? So that is extremely important, because suppose you take risk in quants or LRDI and then you unfortunately don't even clear the sectional cutoff or even one section, your entire attempt goes waste. So these are very important things.
Very, very well cited. And just one comment on that. They say very popularly, a perceived risk is no longer a risk. So if you understand what risk you are taking, you are sorted for the day. Which brings me to my last question, Rishabh, and we will end the interview and the interaction with this. I want you to highlight a bit on preparation with work experience. And I want you to be very on point, because we are running out of time a little bit. But with work experience, how do you think one can prepare, and what is that ideal work experience? Like कुछ लोग बोलते हैं 19 months होना चाहिए, कुछ लोग बोलते हैं नहीं 30 months होना चाहिए. What is that ideal work experience that you feel is the perfect band to go to MBA, and how do you prepare along with work?
So first, coming to what is the ideal work experience, it depends on the B school you are targeting. In IIM Ahmedabad, you get full marks in work experience if it is more than 36 months. Same is the case with Bangalore. In Calcutta, once it crosses 36 months, some of you lose some points. In some institutes, if it crosses the 24 to 36 months period, you lose points. In Shillong, for example. Okay, so it depends on the institute you are targeting. Secondly, I personally feel work experience basically teaches you more about corporate. So you have a better exposure before MBA, and many B schools also prefer that. So if you are able to manage your job and preparation, I'll suggest you to not leave job, and because then you have two things. First, you have a lesser work experience. Secondly, in every interview, you have to justify the gap year. And that is a very critical thing which comes up during the interviews at times. So if you're able to manage, that's the best. There are lots of good online courses available. I personally did from iQuanta. You may do from any place you feel more comfortable. And there is no dearth of materials, mock tests and everything. So if you are able to manage it with a job, that's the best thing to do. And I personally was in sales and marketing. So that also helped me a lot to defend the question, why MBA after engineering? So I said, I already have a marketing job experience and this aligns with my career goal of MBA. So it becomes much more easy to defend that why MBA question, which comes up in almost every interview, which you might have also given and other aspirants might also be facing in future. Apart from that, also for all the working professionals, it's very important to divide your time very well. You will have a hectic job. Sometimes the schedule may go haywire, but you need to at least take out some 2 hours of time every day in the initial phases, and much more based on your individual approach towards the exam later, because you need to at least attempt some 20 full length mocks right before giving the exam, so that you know where you are losing out, where you are weak and may need to work on that. So for working aspirants, yeah, it's important. But then again, working aspirants also have their advantage that they will get some extra points during shortlisting as well as final selection. So for freshers and working aspirants, it's not like for one it is easy, for one it is challenging. Everyone has their own individual challenges. So I think, yeah, that pretty much sums up how working aspirants might need to formulate their strategy as per their personal needs.
Great, Rishabh. That was kind of great insights on how one should prepare. And summarizing your work experience point is to each its own. If you feel like you can prepare along with your work and take 2 hours of time from your schedule, you should continue working, because that's going to also give you financial sustenance along with preparation. So you can prepare, and at the end of the day, it will also give you a leverage in colleges like IIM Ahmedabad and IIM Lucknow, IIM Bangalore, which gives much emphasis on your work experience. You have clearly mentioned some very intricate strategies for individual colleges on what they focus on. What I hear you saying is 4 basic headers. Keep your general knowledge and your political knowledge and your current affairs knowledge upfront for the interviews. Focus on your CAT, get a good CAT score, because that is only going to help you clear the cutoff and appear for the interview. Keep your academics ready. Class 10, 12 mathematics and basics of physics and other chemistry and other subjects, right? Get your basics clear, and also your engineering or your other courses, whatever you have done in your bachelor's. If you are a fresher in particular, keep your work experiences upfront and ready, and write your SOPs very well, very properly, because that is where you will get the questions from. If I have to summarize all of your points, this is what we covered. So
and just one point I'd like to add, I'm sorry to interrupt. Just one point I'll add for the interview. In interview, sometimes you get questions which may be very sensitive. For example, you may get questions, what are your views on reservations? What are your views on this issue, which may be a very sensitive issue, and you will never know what the interviewer is expecting. His ideology and your ideology might be different. Just make sure you use Supreme Court judgments or any specific information to justify what you are saying, instead of giving a very personal opinion that might create differences and may hamper your selection chances. Be very neutral, be more fact based and not more opinion based, especially in sensitive issues.
Exactly. That was what I was coming to. Like, give your arguments based on facts and not your own opinions. As simple as that. So that will help you. So that was it, Rishabh, from our end. Thank you very much for appearing for this, and thank you very much for enlightening the students.
Thank you. My pleasure to attend.
It was a pleasure having you. This channel will host more interviews like this. More people like Rishabh will come, industry and academia experts. If you like the channel, share it with your friends, share this interview. And I will also give the LinkedIn profile of Rishabh. If he is comfortable sharing that, you can go hit his.
I shared it with you.
I will put it in the description. Go hit him. If you want to know anything, you can text him directly. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. We will keep on bringing more videos like this. That is it for today. Thank you again, Rishabh, for being a part of this.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. That's it for today.